to earth. Do you remember? Why have we taken birth? Do you remember?
So it's my great pleasure to introduce Reverend Sue, who's got a great topic. After prayer, what?
Hallelujah. I don't know if it's a hallelujah or being an ARRP or what. It's hot up there. Thank you for that song. I get so moved. I love you guys so much, and I love you so much. And when I see you come back after years, months, or even a few weeks, I'm like, oh, look who's home. My children are home. I just, hallelujah, had to say that. Oh, we just have so much history. I'm such an AARP person. So the talk today is after prayer what? And I was so preachy at the 9 o'clock service. It's like after prayer, after the 9 a.m. service, what? What else is there? And I'm going to share with you a story. And in the story, I might have shared with you before because I can't remember if I have or not. But I love this story. I love this story. It's a hard story. It's a hard story, but it has a point. It has a point of looking at God in a different way than we're used to feeling or seeing, perhaps. So, and maybe some of you see God in this way. But I start with Eric Butterworth's. I love this quote, and I keep weaving it through my thoughts yesterday when I was preparing for the talk. I have faith in God. You see, that's what after prayer, what? You do have to have the faith. That's yours to own. I have faith in God as the source of all my good. Are we all there? We all have faith in the source of God. I bless all the many channels through which it may come. Okay, we need to stay open and recognize that it comes through all channels. We cannot define that channel because that's the way Spirit flows. We cannot control that, but we can certainly stay awake and ready to receive those great gifts. So this particular story comes from a book from Healing the Heart of the World. It's a compilation of many stories, and this particular author isn't known to anybody. Her name is Amy Racina. And I'm going to start with the story and then stop every now and again to see if I have your attention. So this is Amy's story, and it's entitled Angels in the Wilderness. Now let me preface this with the fact that, you see, we find God in nature, right? So many of us recognize the Divine Mother, oh, so ever present. So that's how Amy found the oneness. August 4th, 2003. So this is how it ends. The thought resounds through my shaken body. I have not blacked out. I remember the seconds of the free fall with brutal clarity. I took a single step, just one more in hundreds of thousands of steady paces along the trail. Suddenly, without warning, I was falling. I saw the harsh slab of rock rushing up toward me from 60 feet below. There was no way to stop my descent, nothing to grab onto, no time to shift position, no action that could alter my fate as I plummeted through the air. Takes your breath, right? This was it. I was going to die. No gentle, easy passing into some brighter place, no life flashing gloriously before my eyes, no beckoning tunnel of light, just this abrupt, thoughtless termination of life. I felt bitter disappointment at all that was lost to me. My mind screamed out in frustration against my own impotence, and my world went gray around me. I did not even have time to pray. Months later, it would come back to me, that sickening feeling of my bones shattering as my body crashed like a rag doll upon the rock. But at the moment of impact, I felt nothing. Now I lie on my back on a slab of shale, my legs crushed underneath me at an awkward angle, and I look up at the wall of the ravine towering above me. I had been hiking solo with my backpack as my company for 12 days already. I have covered 136 miles of a glorious loop through California's King Canyon National Park, and I was descending a rugged, unmaintained trail into the valley, feeling strong in my body and illuminated in spirit as I walked along. So you see, she was absolutely dwelling and connected to the One, looking forward to experiencing the legendary beauty of the remote valley. Having temporarily lost my trail, I had been threading my way cautiously around the circumference of the steep hillside, holding on with my hands and carefully reaching out my right foot. I allowed my weight to sink gradually onto it. With one step, everything changed. The ground gave way and I plummeted downward. Seconds later, here I am, lying smashed on a rock at the bottom of the ravine. I'm alive. I had not expected it to be so. Reeling with shock, I struggled to sit up. I began to assess the damage. There's blood on the rock around me. A front tooth had snapped off. My nose is smashed. My one wrist resists bending, and several fingers stick out at odd angles. A 10-inch long oozing scrape slashes along my right thigh. Multiple bruises and cuts over my face and the rest of my body, and my right ankle bends inward at an unnatural angle. My left hip, excruciating pain when I try to shift. A bone protrudes through the skin below my right knee with muscles and sinew exposed to the air. Sorry to be so graphic, but I want you to see where she was at. Flesh shuddered around it. Worst of all, both legs useless, limp as last night's ramen. I cannot move, either one, even an inch. I appraise my situation. I am seriously injured. I cannot crawl. I cannot stand. I am in the most remote area of Kings Canyon National Park, deep in the backcountry of the Sierra Nevada. I am at least 25 grueling miles from the nearest trailhead. I have not seen a soul for 2 days. Only a handful of people hike this valley each season. The rangers had told me I had lost the overgrown path shortly before I fell, so I am off trail. How much grimmer can it be? Are you guys... Take a breath because she's writing. I want you to know she lives. Get you there. I am seriously injured. I cannot walk, crawl, or even stand up. I'm in the most remote area. I'm at least 25 miles. Only few people walk this trail, and I fell off the trail. Even if hikers do pass, they will not see me. My friends and family do not expect me back for 5 or 6 more days, so they will not yet post a search. I am utterly, utterly alone on an untraveled portion of the backcountry. My chances for survival are grim, but I am alive. Usually I love being in the wilderness. In solitude, I find the feeling of connection that eludes me in the presence of others. So she goes on to deeply describe her connection. And each one of you has your own personal connection, your own personal sanctuary, where you speak to the One and you recognize that you indeed are alive, and that all of your heart can be placed in the heart of the One. It means being oneself and yet being a part of something bigger, you see? Being a part of something bigger than just the single self. Alone in the wilderness, she felt connected to spirit, to God or the goddess, to nature, to earth, and to me. All those things are very, very important. You see, God is and I am. There's the first 2 steps of treatment, and she was living it. She was living her passion, is where we go with prayer. We are a demonstration of what we say in every day, in every word, in every breath. My longing is satisfied, and I feel the connection that I crave. The spiritual connection that she craved, she's on the journey, and she discovered that. And the land was her friend. A legacy of experience passed down from generations of mountain hiking ancestors had provided her the assurance that she was comfortable in that environment, more so than she was in her urban world. So she recognized that even though she'd been out there for days, she was alone, but not lonely. That's a good feeling too. I want you to recognize moments where you feel, I'm alone. But are you lonely? Because the one is always with you. The one is always with you. My relationship with humanity is less certain than my association with nature. Frequently ill, at ease among groups of people, I often need to withdraw. So she withdrew from people, and she grew more and more into this intimate circle with herself. But now, badly injured and stranded in this ravine, I wonder how much people will miss me if I do not return. Not much, I think. I've lived alone except for my child, now close to 10 years old. At the age of 16, my son is almost grown. I have no partner, no enduring intimate relationships. My parents have died. I have a brother and a sister, but I seldom see them. I have friends and acquaintances. So she starts to review her life and recognizes, diminishes her importance of those people in her life and how valuable she is to them. And I'm not going to go into that part of her story because it's an after part of the point I want to make. Mercifully, my pack had fallen near me in the ravine. I strained to pull it towards me, and I grope inside for my first aid kit. Shaking with shock, I do what little I can for my injuries. That's where they need you, Sandy, there with your Red Cross. With every moment of effort, I heat up some instant chicken soup and then lower myself awkwardly back onto a cold rock. Clutching my sleeping bag over my shivering body, I pass into blessed oblivion. After a restless night, drifting in and out of sleep, I struggle again into consciousness. The morning light shines its harsh illumination on the desperation of my situation. So alone in my ravine with nobody but myself to rely on, I consider my chances. Again, it's unlikely I will be found if I stay where I am. I have fallen next to a small gurgling stream flowing gently down the sloping rock. Somewhere below where I lie, this stream will flow into the Middle Forks Kings River. Beside that river is a trail. If I can somehow drag myself to the trail, then at least there's a chance I will be found. By moving, I may increase the extent of my injuries, but if I stay here, I will surely be signing my own death warrant. My decision was made. You see, the idea behind saying your prayers and speaking your treatments, and then having the faith and knowing that it will manifest in your life as you want to hold that bigger space and vision for yourself, you have to move your feet. You see, she can't just stay there and beg to be saved. She had to somehow move her body. So I organized my battered body for the journey. Collecting up my scattered gear, I stash it carefully, tie my pack to my waist with a rope, and I ease myself, sitting on my butt, into a small brook. Pushing hard with trembling arms, shoving my limp legs in front of me, I find I can scoot myself along downhill, aided by the flow of the streamlet. All that day, inch by painful inch, I scooch down the obstacle course that is my ravine, terrified that I will get a limb stuck in some crevice, slide out of control down a steep slope, or pass out from the pain while navigating a tricky pool. Finally, my small store of energy is exhausted. I drape myself over a rock, slipping again into the sleep of total depletion. I have covered 30 yards, a whole day. The next morning, I make a cup of instant coffee and continue on, now praying for help and for strength. fighting down the pain from my broken limbs and focusing on my goal and dragging myself onward. Both legs are by now grotesquely swollen, saturated with the stream waters and the filth of my body, bloody and exhausted. But I will not give up. I want to be rescued. I want to live. Randomly, I call out to the forest. The only response is the wind whispering through the trees and the relentlessly cheerful gurgle of my little brook. By the end of the third day, I come to an impasse, and my path is blocked by a pool of water and a tangle of rocks and sticks and a grassy embankment. Try as I might, I cannot get past these obstacles. I can go no further, and my strength is fading. Infection and shock are catching up with me. Will this be my final resting place? So from there, she goes into the journey of reflecting on the goodness of her life, on her parents, on her family, on her friends, and all that she cherished and loved in her lifetime. The silent company of this gentle multitude comforts her. She drew them in as her support. We recall the good in our lives in these moments of challenge, and they become our strength. I have by now little hope of being found, and I pass over into the spirit world, but I call out once again into the wilderness, lifting my voice to join that of the twinkling waters echoing across the rock walls of my ravine. This place is exquisitely beautiful and strangely welcoming, even in the time of my despair. Can you see how wide open her heart and eyes were? She saw it all, her desperation, but also the beauty, all that was. And then I heard it. 2 faint toots of a whistle, so soft that at first I think there's some illusion of my fevered brain, and then I hear it again, toot, toot. Someone's out there. Frantic with renewed hope, I call out wildly, straining my lungs for maximum volume. Has someone really heard me? Will they be able to find me? Have they given up and gone away? After what seemed like hours of fear and uncertainty, I peek through the trees and catch my first glimpse of the person who has responded to my call. He has scrambled down the treacherous slope and is now standing on firm ground. I cannot begin to say what the sight of a human being means to me after that solitary desperation of those long days and nights. For the first time since the fall, I begin to cry. I'm Jake, says the rescuer. I'm Amy. I'm not going to leave you. Somehow Jake knows just what to say, and I cry even harder, smiling through my tears. I'm not alone anymore. Can I put my arm around you? Asks Jake, sensing the human touch is what I need most, but not knowing how badly injured I might be. All he knows is that something horrible has happened. I nod my consent, and he puts his arm around me gently and without hesitation. Isn't that a beautiful story? I love the Jake. I love the tenderness of the story where, in the most darkest of times, we do not give up. We do not say, never mind God, I'm not good enough, or whatever gets in our way, that little whininess, whatever it is. You see, it takes that determination. It takes that connection with Spirit and the One to know that all is well and all is good and that we are cared for. After prayer, you move your feet. In the book of the Yoga Sutras by one of my teachers, Nishla Devi, she talks about the union with the divine self. The union with the divine self. That's what we're here for. That's what prayer is. That's where we open our heart to the one heart. And we get past all the small stuff. And we open to that. And she says consciousness is elevated by devoted practice. You see, this woman's consciousness was elevated by the devoted practice of spending so much time and having so much trust in the One, in the Mother, in nature, in the beauty, but also remembering the self. So it's not only elevated by the practice of prayer and all of that, but it's remembering the self, remembering the seed self, the light, the divine knowing within. There are two necessary components to reunite us with our true self. Devoted practice and remembering the self are two wings of the same bird. Rhythm is the secret to the bird retaining its elevation. Rhythm keeps our consciousness elevated. Consciousness is elevated by devoted practice and remembering the self. So for Amy and for each one of us, her prayer is its own answer. As soon as you speak your prayer, she wanted to live. That was her prayer. Did she need to figure that out? Coordinate it in any way? There is the truth that life, we're meant to live. That life force flows through us. It's the power of the one. And so that was moving through her, getting her inch by inch, and she never gave up. The prayer is in its own answer in terms of its own acceptance. Ernest Holmes reminds us of that. How much are you going to accept? When I first took a Science of Mind class, one of the life-changing moments was when Dr. Andrea at the time was teaching it. And in its spirit is like the ocean, okay? The ocean, so vast, that waters are so vast. And we have that opportunity to partake of the one, the Spirit saying yes to us, and we go with a little thimble. And we go, I'll take this much, thank you very much. And we walk away and we do our prayers and we stay so contained in our little thimble of experience. Or we get a little more awakened in our consciousness and we take a teacup. And then we realize, well, heck, I can take a bucket. Why not a barrel? Why not build a swimming pool? We keep getting our consciousness a little bit bigger. Why not just dive into the ocean? Why not? Why not? That's immersing ourselves in the absolute knowing of the one, because the ocean's just there saying, yes, bathe in me. Bathe in me, know me. Let me be the power that carries you. You can ride that wave right back onto shore and get into your life. Preaching again. So it's done unto you as you believe. Nothing can come out of your prayer unless you put it into the prayer. And we go, say what? Say that again, Sue. Nothing can come out of the prayer unless it is put into the prayer. No power is put into it but taken out. We don't put power into life. We don't, they talk about the acorn and the tree. We don't put the tree inside the acorn. We just kind of plant it and then, wow, there it is. It just is. There's a power, there's a force there, there's a life, there's an energy, and it's expressing life at all times. Emerson reminds us, and these were in the words of Eric Butterworth, he reminds us that we are the beneficiaries. We get to benefit. That's our endowment. We are the beneficiaries of that divine fact. So there's a consciousness, a shift that changes when you partake of prayer with intention. When you really know what it is that your heart desires. And sometimes we're muddled in our thoughts. We know what we want. We can claim it. And then we look at our circumstances and we're saying, but these are the facts before me. These are the facts before me. I want a job, but I look in the paper and there's nothing there. I look on Craigslist, there's nothing there. There are no jobs. And so those are the facts. And this is what I was talking about at 9 o'clock, and this is what I want you to take away with. There's a difference between truth and facts. The truth is about the presence of God and the power of God and the possibilities of God always unfolding in your life. So you say, yes, I choose to, perhaps that's an experience, and you can say to someone that says, you're never going to find your work. And you'll say, thank you for sharing, but that's not my experience. My experience is one of truth. And the knowing that what I put into the prayer of my heart, I will know that I am attracting the right and perfect work. I know that for me. And they'll just walk away and go, well, what church do you go to? Let it be known. The Center for Spiritual Living, 1905 Hartnell Avenue, 96002. So there was a reading that I had shared earlier about a Rinpoche that was asking for how we look at our consciousness and watching for the transformation of your thought. And it, just like the thimble, the bucket, that analogy, this one was, he takes the big white board and he puts a little black line and he asks his disciples, what do you see? And they say, a little flying bird. And he's going, no, it's all the sky. And there's a little bird flying through it. And you see so many of us go, hoot, hoot, I see the bird. Oh my God, there's sky there too. And the sky is so vast. That's the exciting part as we kind of walk out of a practitioner session and we walk out and we don't see our little small problem, but we see a sanctuary filled with intentional prayers and ohms, I tell you. This sanctuary is filled with ohms because I've taught yoga here for 20 years now. And we ohm twice a week and we do 3 of them. And we end it with Om Shanti, 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 Om Peace. And that vibration stays here for you. Thank you very much. So I want to close with this. I found this fascinating because I pulled up some work of Ernest Holmes, and this is the anatomy of a healing prayer. And he shares this one concept, and I bet you're going to see how familiar this is because I kind of tickled me when I saw it. So here we go. Let's get back beyond our badness, goodness, wrong, way out there where there is nothing but space, way down there before we begin to think, so there's no liability. Get up where there is no noise, no confusion, no traffic, where nothing has ever done or said by ourselves through all the ages that alters the fact one iota, the sun still shines. Each take the name of someone and say, this is happening. Whatever is there that doesn't belong is removed, and what should be there is there. Let's know we exist in this place that time does not contain and space does not enclose. Everyone, everything we touch is made whole. The light comes through. Everything has joy and responsiveness and love. And we are that thing now. We are that. Does that sound like, Rumi, I will meet you there? Beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I will meet you there. Makes my heart break. May you be touched by the one next to you today that knows your truth as you go enjoy the social hall. May you know that you are loved and cared for today by the Children's Church and Friends of the Endowment. They have brought their goods for you to partake in. And when you share in conversation, may you share in such a way that you are touched. There is nothing happening. Let us know that you are made whole, that the light in the conversation and the truth you speak to one another is the truth, is the truth, is the truth. This is it. That's what Ernest Holmes tells us. This is it. That's how easy it is. Just know that. Let's close with a brief treatment, just joining in the heart. Join your heart. Join your heart. Join your heart with the heart of God. As you open up into that space, you recognize the drama, the stories. We put them aside. There is something so much more precious here. And our hearts are wide open to embrace all the possibilities of truth expressed right here and now in our lives. So today is a day where we simply walk out of here joy-filled, awake and ready for all the good that God has in store for us today, because we are transformed and we walk in truth and in love. In the power of this word, I release this word into law, knowing it is done unto us as we believe, and we believe in this. Thank you very much, God, and so it is.
Serve serve.